Hey, how's it going? I hope you got a look at that. Oh, hold on a second. Having a little... Okay, now I'm back. So, I wanted to talk to you today about Brave New Jersey. And I was very happy I found this movie. I don't know why I go back and forth. Whatever, you know what I mean. That day, I was looking for something light, something to, like, you know, get me in the up sort of state of mind. And, excuse me. And I just happened upon this, and I didn't realize, I mean, once I read the, description, I realized that it was about War of the Worlds. And War of the Worlds, I have some kind of thing for, I guess. I've done a bunch of videos on various productions of War of the Worlds. You can just look at my catalog. They're easily recognizable. Because I love the story. I love space stuff. And it just occurred to me that that particular story, were it to happen, it would almost be like anything that went wrong would have been our fault. I mean, in the latest one that I did a video on, that series just ended on Epics. Oh, great. Now I forgot what I was talking about. The latest one on Epics. Well, the story ended, basically, which is weird, because they didn't really leave it open-ended, but I don't know that matters. But in the latest version, it could almost be, you can almost see what I mean by it's like our fault, because the aliens may have come looking for a place to call home, and in that version, this home was their original home. That's very convoluted, and I'm not going to go all into like what it's about. I suggest you, if you can't watch the show and you still want to know what I'm talking about, I guess you can watch the video, or you can use your Google machine. I think we all are capable of doing that these days. But anyway, one thing I noticed about the actual War of the Worlds incident that I'm talking about here, that this movie is about, it's not about the story of War of the Worlds, it's about the story of the broadcast, the radio broadcast of War of the Worlds. What year did that even happen? I didn't write it down this time. So I don't know, like the 40s sometime. And it's about how an Orson Welles led cast of actors on CBS Radio in New York, as part of their weekly broadcast, like this troupe of actors that were there every week, the same people with the same voices doing different stories. For some reason, this story, the way it was presented, people just like gave up. Or like, okay, forget everything that we have known to be true about showing up on this day and turning on this station on this same radio every week. This story made everybody's voices sound different, I guess. What I'm trying to say is, at one point in the movie, you can see that, you know, they're listening to the radio, and it's in like old-fashioned radio, and they have tuned in to hear their regular stories, if you will, on their regular station. And something about the way the production was made, you know, the way they did the production, people just like took leave of their sanity and believed it, like thought it was really happening. And so in the movie, you know, the people are in the process of freaking out, and the story's just playing, and they're thinking it's a real news broadcast. And I hear in reality, like today, on this side of the screen, I can hear Orson Welles' voice, in his part, whatever part he was playing. I haven't listened to the broadcast, but he could well have played multiple parts. And I'm sure he did on different days with different content. But this day, I don't know, like all the sense flew out of people's minds or something. Because in the broadcast, I hear Orson Welles' very distinctive voice. Like, it'd be hard to mistake his voice. I just was able to pluck it out through all of this other dialogue happening or whatever in the movie, and then in the background the radio's blah 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 and go away, and there's Orson Welles' voice. How did those people, this is what I'm going to ask you, how did these people not notice that regardless of whatever the action they were being told was happening, it's the same guy you hear every week? Okay, I that was like all over with by the time I came along. Like there was television. So listening to stuff on the radio, I actually did much later, but it was like a pre-recorded thing. And it was just something I listened to of interest. It wasn't about the format in particular. I just happened to find that way, and it just, I don't know, I just thought it'd be interesting to try it. So anyway, how did these people not notice that, besides Orson Welles, all of the other people, I don't think they brought in a whole new different cast for the show when it was just their regular weekly deal. It was just, it just blows my mind that people reacted that way. And if you know, any of the actual history, then you will know that not all of the people freaked out that heard it. Some people kept their heads about them and realized what they were hearing. So that just blows me away all the time. But you know what? I do not know if I were one of those people then at that time. I could have reacted completely differently, but then I'd be a completely other person, wouldn't I? Yeah. What I also liked about this sort of different take on the story was the focus was more on the characters than what they were trying to assemble to do, which was fight back against the alien invaders. This is the thing that always just puts a stop to any kind of resistance to alien invasion for me. And that is that they got these ships that can fly and do things that ours can't. To me, that just means that we have nothing of equal value to fight back with if it were a situation of fighting back, which I don't want us to do. I actually believe in aliens for real, and the reason why we don't see them, we see stuff and we're guessing, is it our stuff, is it alien stuff, and then we're never sure. It doesn't matter, because they're not going to come too close to us, because they know we'll shoot first and maybe ask questions later, and they can be damaged. I mean, their bodies are just as liable to get hurt or dead. Their machines can screw up. They've crashed, and it's been a number of things. They've had malfunctions, and they crash, and then our government swoops in and steals it all away. And there's dialogue between our government and at least one group of ETs for sure, but probably more. No, at least two. And I have my own reasons for feeling like that's believable. So, I don't think we're going to be seeing them anytime soon unless we really change our overall attitudes, and we're just busy shooting up each other over nothing. So it makes sense that they wouldn't want to step in. And they're not gonna like come save us. They will help. They do help in ways that some of us are aware of, and they help us, some of us that have no clue that it's even happening, in so many ways. There's instances, there's stories, there's retellings, relivings. There's like all this stuff about them, and yet we either believe in them and think that they're on the way to kill us, when that's actually not their attitude. They look at us as family. We are a version of them, and they are a future version of us. Like as a people, not like a future me came and said hi or whatever. Like literally, but like us as people, like humans generally, evolve into these other beings later. And evolution involves changes, physical changes a lot of times. And so that right there is enough for me to be like, okay, I can dig it. They still got a head and 4 limbs and some digits, if not the same amount of them as us. It doesn't really matter that much. I mean, generally, it's like the humanoid form. So, it's not that much of a leap for me to think that, yeah, we could change a lot in, 1,000 years or whatever it is. So, because, yeah, time for us and time for them are completely different things. Like, we're meting out minutes and measuring and counting and describing and doing all this stuff, and they're more like, yeah, it's now, and now is always, and the past is now, and the future is now, and it's all now. That's the best explanation I can give you for a concept that's real hard to explain. I am also not a scientist. I like science-ish. I like science stuff, but I have no accreditation. This is all my opinion. So, anyway, but the people, while they're sort of in this really stressful situation that is sort of really imbued with a lot of fear, understandably, like the unknown happening. Oh, great. Hold on one second. Ooh, having a little dry throat there. I don't know if that was throat chakra or too much chakra. Dried myself up. Anyway, what the hell was I saying? I think I was just talking about, I was going to talk about how the people in the story go through, like, some of them from start to finish like a hero's story, like from mythology or tarot cards, where you start out and then you go through some stuff and you have your ups and downs and you learn some things and maybe you forget what you lost and you go to rock bottom, because that always seems to be where we end up, so we can renew. And it's like a circle. So some people in that story really go through changes personality-wise, and they're forced by the situation where you're afraid, there's unknown and it's scary, and everyone is getting each other more scared. It's just piling on. And that was interesting to see for me. Like, I always, any story, any context, any genre, I like to see a progression. That's like one of the things I love, and particularly just because it feels nice to see someone make the progression from like 0 to really good, or from bad to good, like whatever it is. I just like to see the people learning and going through changes. And I'm just going to wrap up here quickly by saying that I specifically went looking for Tony Hale movies, okay? So that's another thing that's really funny to me, that I ended up landing on a War of the Worlds story, but that appeals to me, and there was one. But the other thing is that, well, the reason why I decided I wanted to watch something more of Tony Hale is because I'd recently seen him in an interview, like not for the first time, but something he said made me want to look at more of what he did, and I knew that I had not watched Veep yet. I don't know if I will. I think I've had about enough of governmental humor or not humor, drama, whatever. Like, whatever there is already that exists in reality, it's enough. Like, I really feel no desire to go watch it as of now. That could change. But anyway, when I went to look at what movies he had available, there's a lot. Well, I haven't seen really, I think I saw one other one than this one that I now have seen, The Brave New Jersey. But I was happy to see that because I have enjoyed him in Arrested Development. Sorry, went blank for a second there. And like pretty much anything else I've seen him in, he's God, it doesn't sound very complimentary, or that I'm very excited about it to say that he's a competent comedian, but that's not the same as saying he's adequate. He is far and above adequate. He's very good at it. I'm singing his praises. His timing is good. He's a funny guy. So that was kind of what sent me in the direction of watching this. And since I wrote a big old long word piece that I'm gonna link to the instruction box, that's pretty much all I want to say about it, just real quick. And nothing. Thank you and good night.